There are places on Earth right now that you will never be allowed to visit. Not because you cannot afford the trip, not because they are too far away, but because what is inside them is either too dangerous, too valuable, or too secret for any ordinary person to see. Some of these places guard the future of humanity. Others hold answers to questions we have been asking for centuries. And a few of them, governments will not even confirm they exist. This is our countdown of the 10 most forbidden places you are not allowed to visit. Stay until the end, because number 1 holds a secret that has been locked away for over 12 centuries. Number 10, Grand Shrine of Eyes, Japan. Across Japan, there are more than 80,000 Shinto shrines where visitors are free to enter, pray, and explore. But there is one sacred place that remains almost completely hidden from the world. Located deep within the forests of Mie Prefecture, the Grand Shrine of Eyes is considered the most important site in all of Shinto belief. It is dedicated to Amaterasu, the goddess of the sun, who is said to be the ancestor of Japan's imperial family. What makes this shrine truly unique is not just its spiritual significance, but the way it has been preserved for over 2,000 years. Every 20 years, the entire structure is carefully taken apart and rebuilt from the ground up. No modern materials are used. Instead, master craftsmen rely entirely on traditional woodworking techniques passed down through generations. This ritual of destruction and renewal represents the Shinto belief in rebirth, purity, and the impermanence of all things. The most recent reconstruction was completed in 2013, continuing an unbroken cycle that has lasted for centuries. And yet, despite its importance, the inner sanctuary remains completely off-limits. Only high-ranking Shinto priests and members of the Japanese imperial family are allowed to enter. Visitors can walk the surrounding forest paths, feel the quiet atmosphere, and sense its presence. But what lies at the heart of Eyes remains a mystery few will ever see. Number 9, Pravčička Brana, Czech Republic. In the northwestern corner of the Czech Republic lies a region known as Bohemian Switzerland, famous for its dramatic rock formations and deep forest valleys. At the heart of this landscape stands Pravčička Brana, a massive natural sandstone arch rising 52 feet high, with a span of 87 feet, making it the largest stone arch in Europe. For decades, it was one of the most popular tourist attractions in the region. Visitors from around the world would climb to the top, walking across the arch while taking in breathtaking views of the surrounding wilderness. But every step came at a cost. The same sandstone that gives the arch its beauty also makes it extremely fragile. Over time, engineers began to notice that erosion was increasing at an alarming rate. Cracks slowly widened, the structure weakened, and concerns began to grow that the arch could one day collapse, without warning. In 1982, authorities made a critical decision: access to the top would be permanently banned. Today, visitors can still admire it from viewing platforms below, but no one is allowed to touch it. The ban has slowed the damage, but it has not stopped it. Because even without human interference, Pravčička Brana continues to wear away, and one day, it will almost certainly fall. Number 8, Svalbard Global Seed Vault, Norway. Deep inside a mountain on the Norwegian island of Spitsbergen, roughly 810 miles from the North Pole, there is a tunnel that stretches 430 feet into permanently frozen ground. At the end of that tunnel, behind multiple blast-proof doors, sits what many scientists consider humanity's most important insurance policy, the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. The vault was built for one terrifying scenario: what happens if the world's agriculture collapses? Whether caused by war, climate change, pandemics, or even an asteroid impact, if the crops that feed billions of people suddenly fail, the seeds stored here could allow humanity to start over. Today, the vault holds more than 1.3 million seed samples from nearly every country on Earth. These include ancient crop varieties no longer in use, as well as wild plants that may contain genetic traits needed to survive future diseases or extreme climates. The public is not allowed inside. Only authorized personnel can enter, and even the countries that store seeds here can only retrieve them under extraordinary circumstances. In fact, the first withdrawal occurred in 2015, when seeds were taken to replace crops lost during the war in Syria. They were later returned in 2017 after new storage facilities were built. But even this secure vault has faced unexpected challenges. In 2017, rising global temperatures caused the surrounding permafrost to melt, allowing water to seep into the entrance tunnel. No seeds were damaged, but the incident led to a major upgrade costing around $20 million. The irony is hard to ignore: the vault designed to protect humanity from disaster is already being tested by one. Number 7. Pluto's Gate, Turkey. In the ancient ruins of Hierapolis, in modern-day Turkey, there is a place once feared as a gateway to the underworld. It is known as Pluto's Gate. To the Greeks and Romans, this was no ordinary cave. It was believed to be an entrance to the realm of the dead, a place so dangerous that anything that came too close would not survive. Ancient writers described animals collapsing and dying within minutes of approaching the entrance. Yet strangely, the temple priests appeared immune. They would step inside, perform rituals, and walk out alive. To the people watching, it looked like proof of divine power. For centuries, these stories were dismissed as myth or exaggeration, but modern science uncovered a much darker reality. The cave sits directly above a geological fault that releases high levels of carbon dioxide gas. Because carbon dioxide is heavier than air, it settles close to the ground, forming an invisible cloud, what scientists now call a lake of death. Any animal or person breathing at that level would quickly lose consciousness and suffocate within minutes. The effect is strongest at night and in the early morning, exactly when ancient rituals were performed. And the priests? They likely knew the secret, standing just high enough to avoid the deadly gas while everything below them died. Today, the area is sealed off and strictly restricted. The legend of Pluto's Gate was real. It just had nothing to do with the supernatural. Number 6. Ilha da Queimada Grande, Brazil. About 20 miles off the coast of São Paulo, Brazil, lies an island officially known as Ilha da Queimada Grande. But almost no one calls it that. Instead, it goes by a name that tells you everything you need to know, Snake Island. From a distance, it looks like a tropical paradise. Dense green forest, rocky coastline, surrounded by deep blue ocean. But step onto the island, and that illusion disappears instantly. Because this is one of the most dangerous places on Earth. The Brazilian Navy strictly controls access, and landing here without permission is illegal. The reason? Snake Island is home to thousands of golden lancehead vipers, one of the most venomous snakes in the world. Some estimates suggest there is roughly one snake for every 11 square feet. That means almost every step you take, you're never more than a few feet away from one. They're everywhere, coiled on tree branches, hidden beneath leaves, wrapped around rocks, sometimes even hanging above you. And these are not ordinary snakes. Thousands of years ago, rising sea levels cut the island off from the mainland, trapping a small population of snakes with almost no natural prey. With no mammals to hunt, they adapted. Their primary food source became migratory birds, and they evolved venom so powerful it can kill almost instantly. For humans, a bite could be catastrophic. The venom can destroy tissue, cause internal bleeding, and lead to death in a very short amount of time. Because of this extreme danger, only a handful of scientists are ever allowed to visit, and even they must follow strict protocols, travel with medical teams, and carry anti-venom at all times. For everyone else, the island is completely off limits. Snake Island isn't just forbidden, it's a place where nature makes the rules, and humans don't belong. Number 5. Movile Cave, Romania. In 1986, workers searching for a site to build a power plant near the city of Mangalia, Romania, made a discovery that would completely shock the scientific world. They accidentally broke through into a cave that had been sealed off from the surface for nearly 5.5 million years. What they found inside was not just a cave, but an entirely isolated world. Movile Cave is unlike any other environment on Earth. The air inside is thick with toxic gases like hydrogen sulfide and methane, and oxygen levels are only about half of what we normally breathe. Without specialized equipment, entering this space would be extremely dangerous, potentially fatal within minutes. To reach the cave's interior, you must descend through a narrow vertical shaft, dropping roughly 65 feet straight down into a system of tight chambers and underground lakes. The environment is dark, humid, and completely cut off from sunlight. Fewer than 100 people have ever been allowed to enter. But the real mystery lies in what's living inside. Because despite the toxic air and total darkness, life exists here, and it thrives. Unlike almost every ecosystem on Earth, Movile Cave does not depend on sunlight. There is no photosynthesis. Instead, life here is built on chemosynthesis. Microorganisms feed on chemical reactions involving the gases in the cave, producing energy without any need for light. These microbes form the base of a completely unique food chain, and that food chain supports dozens of species found nowhere else on the planet. Blind spiders that have never seen light, translucent insects with no pigment, creatures with elongated limbs and antennae, evolved to navigate in total darkness. Everything here has adapted over millions of years in complete isolation. And that isolation is what makes it so fragile, because even a single introduction of outside bacteria could collapse the entire ecosystem. That's why access is so tightly controlled. Movile Cave isn't just a scientific curiosity. It's one of the closest things we have on Earth to what life might look like on other worlds. And a reminder that some places are better left untouched. Number 4. Niihau, Hawaii. The Hawaiian Islands attract millions of tourists every year, drawn by the beaches, the scenery, and the promise of paradise. But there is one island you will almost never hear about. Niihau. Located about 17 miles southwest of Kauai, it is the westernmost inhabited island in the Hawaiian chain, and one of the most restricted places in the United States. Since 1864, the entire island has been privately owned by a single family, and that has never changed. Access is strictly limited. Only native residents, government officials, U.S. Navy personnel, and a small number of invited guests are allowed to visit. For everyone else, stepping foot on Niihau is simply not possible. Around 100 to 200 people live on the island, maintaining a lifestyle that is almost completely self-sufficient. There are no large hotels, no shopping centers, no paved roads or heavy infrastructure. Transportation is basic, often by foot or simple vehicles, and daily life revolves around fishing, hunting, and small-scale agriculture. Electricity is limited, and modern technology is kept to a minimum. What makes Niihau even more unique is its culture. The Hawaiian language is still spoken here as a primary language, preserved in a way that has largely disappeared elsewhere. Traditions are maintained, and outside influence is intentionally kept away. Even the closest most people can get is seeing the island from a distance, or from a restricted aerial tour. Niihau is not abandoned, and it's not undeveloped by accident. It's protected. In a world that is constantly changing and expanding, this island has chosen something different. To remain exactly as it is. Number 3. Lake Vostok, Antarctica. Beneath more than 2 miles of solid ice in Antarctica lies one of the most isolated and mysterious places on Earth, Lake Vostok. Hidden under this frozen continent, the lake has been completely sealed off from the outside world for at least 15 million years. That means whatever exists down there has evolved in total isolation. No sunlight, no contact with the surface, no influence from the modern world. For scientists, that raises an incredible possibility. Lake Vostok may contain life forms that developed independently from the rest of life on Earth, organisms unlike anything we've ever seen. But reaching it was one of the greatest challenges in scientific exploration. For decades, researchers worked to drill through the ice, moving slowly and carefully to avoid contaminating the untouched environment below. Finally, in 2012, they reached the surface of the lake. Even then, access remained extremely limited. Only a small number of samples have ever been collected, and even those are debated due to concerns about contamination during the drilling process. The conditions above the lake are among the harshest on the planet. Temperatures can drop to some of the coldest ever recorded on Earth, and for months at a time, there is complete darkness. Because of these extreme conditions and strict scientific protocols, access is restricted to a handful of specialized research teams. For everyone else, Lake Vostok remains completely out of reach. And what lies beneath that ice is still largely unknown. It's not just a hidden lake. It's a window into the possibility of life beyond Earth, and one of the last true mysteries on our planet. Number 2. Mount Yamantau, Russia. Located deep in the southern Ural Mountains, Mount Yamantau is one of the most mysterious and heavily restricted locations in Russia. At first glance, it appears to be just another remote mountain. But satellite images tell a very different story. Surrounding the area are extensive networks of roads, buildings, and infrastructure, far more than you would expect for a normal mountain site. And almost all of it is off-limits. The region is tightly controlled, with security checkpoints, restricted zones, and a constant military presence. Civilians are not allowed anywhere near it. Over the years, Russian officials have offered a range of explanations. Some claim it's used for mining operations. Others say it's for food storage or emergency supplies. But none of these answers fully explain the scale of what's been built there. Because of that, many analysts believe something much larger is hidden beneath the mountain. One of the most widely accepted theories is that Mount Yamantau houses a massive underground complex, possibly designed to function during a nuclear war or national emergency. A place where critical operations could continue, even if everything above ground was destroyed. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain. Access to Mount Yamantau is strictly controlled. And whatever lies inside is not meant to be seen. Number 1. Vatican Apostolic Archive, Vatican City. Hidden deep within the walls of Vatican City lies one of the most restricted and mysterious collections of documents in the world, the Vatican Apostolic Archive. From the outside, it looks like just another part of the Vatican. But inside, it holds over 53 miles of shelving filled with records that span more than 1,200 years of history. These are not ordinary documents. They include letters exchanged with kings and emperors, official decrees that shaped entire nations, and records of some of the most important and controversial moments in human history. Some of the known items are already remarkable. Documents related to the trial of Galileo, letters written by historical figures, and official records from centuries of religious and political power. But it's not what we know that makes this place so fascinating. It's what we don't. Access to the archive is extremely limited. Only qualified scholars with verified credentials can apply, and even then, they must request specific documents in advance. There is no wandering through shelves, no exploring hidden sections. Researchers are closely monitored at all times, and they are never allowed to enter the actual storage areas. And while some older records have been opened to the public, many documents, especially more recent ones, remain completely sealed. Locked away, out of reach. What exactly is stored within those miles of shelves? What secrets, letters, or untold stories remain hidden, is something the world may never fully know. Those are the 10 most forbidden places you are not allowed to visit. From fragile natural wonders slowly disappearing over time, to deadly environments where a single step could be your last, to secrets locked away for centuries behind closed doors. The world is still full of places that remain out of reach. Places that are too dangerous, too valuable, or too secret to ever be fully revealed. So now I want to know, which one shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments below. And if you made it this far, you clearly enjoy uncovering the unknown. So don't forget to subscribe, because the next one might be even more unbelievable. Rocket.